Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Music Made Me. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We truly do appreciate it. Today we have a really fun conversation with Addie Nicole. She's the lead singer of rock band Halocene. Now the band is 100% self-made. Since day one when they formed back in about 2009, when Addie was just a teenager, they have been self-producing all of their music and creating their own opportunities. Now, although they have quite a bit of original material, it's actually their covers that have garnered them the most attention. Currently, they have over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, and many of their cover videos actually have well over 1 million views. It's been a slow and steady climb for the band, and one they wouldn't change for the world. Please enjoy our conversation with Addie Nicole of Halocene. So let's start at the very beginning. And I know in rock and roll, there's a line in there that talks about being 5 and having that dream to be a rock star. So is that just a lyric, or is that literal in you being 5 and knowing then that you wanted to be a rock star?
You really did do your research, huh?
I did.
Damn. Yeah, absolutely. It's 100% true. I remember that whenever I would blow out the candles on my birthday cake, that was always what I would wish for. It's like, oh, I just want to be a singer. Like, that's all that I want. So yeah, absolutely. When you're that young, you don't exactly know what that means, what that's all entailed. I just thought I was going to be Ariel in The Little Mermaid. That's what I thought singing was. But, as I got older, I kind of found my way, and, it became a real career for me.
And what did early life look like for you? Because I know I've seen you post that it was just you and your mom. So was that throughout your youth, throughout your entire life, or how did that look?
Yeah, so my mom and my dad were not together very long. They weren't married or anything. It was just kind of like a oopsie doopsie. So
Oh, okay.
I got to see my dad throughout my life, and he's still very much a part of my life, but I was mostly living with my mom. Which both of them did have a pretty good influence on me. My mom is super into rock music. My dad is a guitarist, so he was always in bands, and my mom's boyfriend for most of my young life was also a drummer. So I was kind of always around music in my family, and yeah, my mom's a rocker girl. She's got tattoos and tongue piercings and all the stuff.
So it was a big influence throughout your life then.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's not a surprise then at 5 that that was something that was a dream for you.
Yeah, and honestly, like, it was something that my mom, she knew that I wanted it, but she wanted to make sure. She didn't want it to just be this, something that a 5-year-old says. You're like, "Oh, I want to be a singer." And you're like, "Yeah, okay, sure." So she never put me in any, like, contests or competitions or tried to give me management or anything like that. And at the time I was really, like, upset about it. I was like, "Why won't you let me, like, do this? Like, I'm ready." But I'm really thankful now because I was able to actually just grow and be a kid and, not be having a career at 10 years old or something. And you see the downsides of that among young artists and their turmoil and everything that they go through. So I'm
Right.
ultimately pretty glad that she didn't do that.
And what age was it where you found your voice, where you knew you were able to sing? Was it pretty young? Like around that 5 where
Yeah,
you
I
knew?
think probably forever. I mean, like, as soon as I got into school, I was wanting to do choir. In the 5th grade, I was in honor choir, so I was already in, like, the I was trying out for all the solos and everything that I could get my hands on, and I started picking up the guitar at about 9. That was when my dad got me my first guitar. I knew that I wanted to write songs. I wrote my first song when I was 11 or 12. I always forget. But yeah, so pretty young for basically everything.
And growing up in that split family, did music help you with that, or was it a pretty positive environment in your mom and your dad being apart?
It was a really amicable split between them, honestly. I mean, there's, obviously there's going to be turmoil between that, but in general, like, it was kind of like, yeah, this wasn't meant to last anyway. That wasn't like their intent. They weren't intending on being together for an extended period of time. So they became great friends, and it wasn't as hard as I think that a lot of kids have it when they go through, like divorce or something where their parents have been together for a long time and they've got to kind of deal with that. I had the luxury of just my parents have always been separate, and it's just kind of how things go. So I have two Christmases and it's fine. But music definitely helps me in a lot of different ways. I actually struggle with bipolar disorder. So there's a lot of things that I go through on a daily basis that music has been able to really honestly keep me alive. Most of my um, adolescence and teen years were very lonely. I didn't have many friends and that kind of thing. So just keeping my head up and looking towards the future was what kept me going. And I don't think if I had that motivation that I would be here today.
And that mental health, I wanted to bring that up at some point because I saw you had posted early in 2020, I believe it was, on your social media, how you were finally ready to seek help for
Yeah.
it. And so I wanted to talk to you about that because I know that it's a difficult thing to talk about, but when people are able to open up about it, it really helps others. So I was
Yeah.
wondering if you were comfortable in talking about that, and especially that moment in 2020 where you realized that you did need help and you were ready to search for it, and how that came about.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. I agree with you. It's something that's hard to talk about, but only because we make it hard to talk about, if that makes sense. Like it's
Yeah, for
only
sure.
because we're not talking about it that makes it difficult. So, and I find the more that I do talk about it, the more honestly like the positive reception that I get that other people say, "Hey, I'm also feeling this way," and it makes me feel good to know that I'm not like alone in this, and that like I don't know, people think that I'm like special or different or something. So they're like, "Oh, when I see you and I think that you've got, everything together to know that you're also struggling, sometimes it's helpful for me." So I think that's why it's really important to talk about. As far as like back then when I, was really going to get therapy, I got into a really dark place after I had my son. So I had some really severe postpartum depression, and I'm kind of ashamed that I let it get that bad. But I didn't really know what to do, and I eventually made an appointment with a doctor and got on some medication, which was able to help me, and it was able to help me get out of a place that I couldn't function. So I
Right.
started functioning, but I still wasn't happy. I wasn't there. I wasn't all 100%. And I think I just got fed up with it. I was like, why am I just kind of getting by and just, scooting along? I want to figure out a little bit more about myself, understand myself better, and do everything that I can to be as happy as possible, not only for me, but for Brad, my husband, my guitarist, and my son. I think that it's like most importantly, I want to be as present as I can for him. So, I did actually. Funny enough, I tried to do a couple of different therapy sessions. I met with a couple of different therapists, and I hated it.
Oh, really?
Hated them. Yeah, they just did not resonate with me at all. And that was really disheartening because it was very expensive, and not just that, but like it's hard to like open up about yourself that way to a complete stranger.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but in I want to say like mid to late last year, I actually got an email from Twitch, which is the live streaming service that my band performs on.
Yeah.
They reached out to me and said, "Hey, we've got this new program that is coming out with one of our other streamers, Healthy Gamer, and he's creating like his own kind of like health coaching, mental health coaching service, and we wanted to offer you 6 free sessions." And I was
Oh,
like,
wow.
I burst into tears. I was like, "You've got to be kidding me. Like, that's the coolest thing I think I've ever heard." Like a company really caring about their employees, if that's what you want to call it. We do kind of work for Twitch in that way.
Yeah.
And, just wanting to really take care of us that way. And that was so cool. And yeah, I'm paying now. I'm continuing with the service because I just really enjoyed them. And he, my coach is just, I resonate with him a lot, and he's I actually met with him earlier today. So yeah, it's been going great.
Wow, that's awesome. And
Uh,
you talked about music sort of getting you through in your younger years of that mental health. But is that a danger in maybe letting the music mask those mental health problems as well?
Yeah, and that's something that I'm finding now is, I there's a period in my life, mostly like the teen years, that I don't actually remember much of, and we've been delving into that with my coach and trying to figure out what happened during those years, and it turns out that I wasn't really existing. I was just looking forward. All I was thinking about was when I get out of high school and I'm able to be in a band and go on tour. That's all I was thinking about, and I wasn't thinking about what was going on at the time. And I think I blocked a lot of it out, and I didn't really, sit with it and understand it. And now I have to do that. Now I have to kind of dissect what I went through at that time and really try to understand it better. So I think at some point in life, you're going to have to face it, face the issues. But I do think music is great it's a great form of just being able to keep yourself afloat and being able to express something that maybe you aren't even sure you understand yet.
Right. And now let's talk about Halocene. It started early. Like, were you 17 or 18 when you reached out on Craigslist? Is that how young you were?
Yeah, I was 17. I actually found my first band when I was like 14 or 15 on Craigslist.
Okay.
And it was fine. I played guitar in that band. I didn't actually sing. And it was fine, but I was just kind of like, they're not really like as motivated as I am. Like they don't want it as bad as I do. So I'm
Right.
just gonna kind of like write my own solo stuff. But I started getting a little bored and I was kind of missing being in a band again. So I just reached out. I'm like, I'm just gonna find something for fun. And Brad, my now husband, reached out and was like, "Yeah, hey, I like what you got going on, and I'm a producer." And he sent me some of the stuff that he did, and I was just blown away. I was like, "Wow, you got to be kidding me! You made this like in your room, basically." And I thought that it was so cool. He and I was kind of like studying production myself at the time as well. So when we met and got together, it made a lot of sense. And he is the only person on this planet that I've ever met that wanted to do music more than I did. And that was a dangerous match made in heaven, if you know what I mean.
Well, definitely, because you guys recorded an EP before you even like played shows or did anything, right? What was it? Did I read 2 days into your relationship as a band that you
Yeah.
started to record?
Yeah, so he met up with me at my dad's practice studio because my dad was kind of helping me figure out how to record myself and that kind of thing. So he met, and obviously I was only 17 at the time, so he's not going to let me meet these random guys alone. So they come
Right.
over there and we just kind of chat. And then the second day that I go over, they're like playing me a demo and saying, what do you think? And I started laying some vocals for it. So the first song was My Addiction, and we started working on it day two. So, and I think it was also something where both of us had been in bands before. Obviously, I was only in one, he was in two other bands, but we had a lot of experience playing out, practicing, doing that whole thing already. We kind of just had that experience, and we were like, let's take a really business approach to this. Let's like really, let's not just go out there and figure out who we are first. Let's just go out there with a product, start, strong, and just hit it hard. And we did.
Wow. And were there other like full-time members of the band at that point, or was it just you and him off the start?
So he had a roommate. His name is Cash, and he is a guitarist as well. And they'd known each other for years. Actually, funny enough, Cash is a bit older than Brad, and Cash had babysat Brad when he was
Oh,
younger.
really?
So yeah, when you get older, that age difference isn't as large. So they
Yeah.
became good friends, and they were roommates. And when Brad actually first found me on Craigslist, he was like, "Oh, I want to to produce a female singer, and I wanted, make you a pop star and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, but can we like do a band? Like, that's what I like. And so naturally, Cash just kind of came on as another guitarist. And he was really the only permanent member of the band until Joe came along. And even then, Joe was kind of like in and out for a little while, and then
Right.
became a permanent member of the band, like maybe 5-7 years ago or something.
And did you and Brad always have a great vision of what you wanted? Because it seems the two of you, no matter what members you have coming in and out, whatever was happening, you were always really tight in knowing what you wanted to do and driving forward towards those opportunities. And we'll talk about all those opportunities in a bit. But it feels like you never really had a doubt, and you always had the drive and the skill, really, like that production skill right off the start to be doing this.
Yeah, honestly, Brad and I butt heads a lot, but we always have the
But that's a
same,
good thing, I think, in the
yeah, we
end.
have the same goal in mind. We just want this band to be successful no matter what that means. And, maybe we disagree sometimes on what that looks like. So, but that also means that like we're both fighting for the best thing, for the best outcome of the band. Um, I don't know. I mean, like, I think we said we want to do this and we don't care what it takes to get there. So Brad learned to produce just out of kind of sheer necessity. Like, well, no one else is going to do this for me, and just kind of started picking up on it, and it really resonated with him. And he's amazing at it. And kind of the same for me. Like, it wasn't like necessity. Like, he could have recorded me and recorded my vocals, but we kind of came across this point in our lives where we didn't have any money, and we were really trying to just make it by. So I was like, I'm going to start recording songs online. And that's what I started doing to be able to make money, is like writing songs and recording songs for random people on the internet. And we were just like, whatever it takes, man. Like, it doesn't need to be we get signed to a label and like go on tour. Like, that's probably not going to happen for us anyway. So let's just find our way. And we really did.
And you guys have always had a drive. Let's talk about the opportunities that you've created for yourself in the touring, opening for Blink 182, playing on Vans Warped Tour, and then the YouTube greatest cover song. We'll talk about that in a sec. But first, talk about the Blink 182 and Warped Tour opportunities and just what that meant for you as a band at that time, and helping you sort of have that feeling of, okay, we're doing the right thing, and helping that drive you forward.
It's weird, dude, because like at the time, the Blink 182 thing, it was a battle of the bands. So basically just in our hometown, it was gonna be Blink 182 and My Chemical Romance, but My Chemical Romance wasn't going to play Arizona because they were protesting one of the immigration laws at the time. So they were just like, we're not gonna show up. So
Oh,
so
okay.
they were looking for an opener instead. And so we, submitted to the Battle of the Bands. It was a sell the tickets kind of thing, but also kind of based off performance. And it was picked by our local radio station. And that was the greatest show ever. It was so amazing. People were chanting our name and all this stuff. And then we won, and we got to open for Blink 182 that day, and everyone hated us. Not
Really?
truly, but they were just like, yeah, we just want to see Blink 182. Like, we don't care.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
was kind of weird. So we went from like having this amazing show where all of our fans are there and just like, yeah, like loving it. And then like basically a week later opening for Blink 182, and everybody in the crowd being like, when is it
Oh
over?
no. Right.
But still, like, that experience was incredible. And I gotta say, Mark Hoppus is the nicest person in the entire world. He made sure he was asking me how to say the band name, and I didn't know why. It was because he shouted it on stage in front of like 10,000 people, and was like, give it up for your hometown heroes. And oh, he was so nice. He offered us earplugs. It was just such a great experience overall. Um, but then nothing kind of comes from it. You know what
Right.
I
I
mean?
guess
Like,
so. Hey.
so you do that and you're like, this is it. This is what we've been looking for. And then you just kind of go back to normal life. Like maybe you make
Right.
a few extra fans and people are like, wow, you open for Blink 182. But outside of that, nothing really happens.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it's not like they're taking
Keep
you on tour for the rest of the tour, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so you keep whatever, keep pushing on. The Vans Warped Tour, they actually had a Battle of the Vans website as well. And so we started doing that. We won 2 years. So we were able to perform at the Phoenix location. But same kind of deal, man. Like they just don't,
Right.
they're not there to see you. They're there to see other people. And again, like nothing comes from it. Like you get to say you did it, but nothing comes. So that's kind of just what most of our band had been, is just kind of this cycling thing of little successes along the way, these really awesome opportunities that are so cool and we're so grateful for. But simultaneously, like, we can't pay our bills and we're eating ramen and, like, sleeping on the floor. Like, it's,
Right.
but it wasn't until, like, this last couple of years that things have really taken off for us with the YouTube space and Twitch and everything.
Yeah, let's talk about that because your first cover, technically, that you posted on YouTube was in, let me find it, 2009 when you covered the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air at a record store performance,
I
right?
didn't know you were gonna count that one. I guess
Of
you're
course,
right.
it's a
Yeah.
cover.
That's so funny. Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, that's, like, one of our first, videos online, and I don't remember how it even happened, but we were just practicing for one of our first shows, and it was an acoustic show, and he was just kind of playing this riff over and over again, and then I started rapping that. I was like, "Oh my god, it fits. We should just do that. That's funny." And at the time, it was like, if something wasn't funny to us, we weren't gonna do it. Like, something
Right.
had to be funny. So we were always trying to be stupid and funny about everything. We've kind of put that aside now. We're like, it's fine." But yeah, that's funny that you noticed that. Yeah.
And after that, your first sort of produced cover on YouTube that I saw was 2011 with Ocean Avenue and Yellow Card. And then in early 2012 is It Feels, when you really started that rock cover
Yeah.
genre within your YouTube. So is that kind of the progression of how it went?
Yeah, and then yeah, in 2012, I think the first one we posted was DJ Got Us Fallen in Love Again by Usher. It was
Right.
just something we were performing rock covers since the beginning of our band. Like that was just what we did. We thought it was cool. We liked at the time that wasn't really a thing that people did, but there was
Yeah.
Alien Ant Farm had covered that Michael Jackson song, Annie, are you okay, Smooth Criminal.
Right. Yeah.
And there was a really heavy cover of Toxic by Britney Spears. We just thought those were really cool, and so we just kind of started doing that live. And then when YouTube started becoming a thing, we're like, oh, let's start posting our covers. But we didn't have videos for them because that was kind of like a difficult thing to do at the time. Like people didn't really have cameras. Like we had a
Right.
digital camcorder like that we were filming on. So making videos is kind of difficult for them. But as time progressed, we got a real camera and started figuring out how it worked, and uploaded, certain covers. I think like one that stands out to me is We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together by Taylor Swift. That
Yeah.
was
I saw that one. Yeah.
one of the first ones. And then we just kind of did that sporadically because at the time YouTube couldn't be a career. That wasn't a thing.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
just post your videos and hopefully people see it. And that was kind of what we did. And then somewhere around 2015, we got off of a tour and we started posting regularly. We're like, let's do this weekly and make this a real
Right.
thing.
Did you see it at 2015 when you kind of thought about that? Did you see it as a possible way to make a living as a band and sort of supplementing that original music?
It's funny because Brad did.
Oh, yeah.
I did not. I was just kind of like, oh, whatever. Like this is just another thing that Brad wants to do. But
Oh,
he's
okay.
an idea guy. He's always like on the front lines of like thinking of things before anybody else does. But when we started posting our covers, he he actually got kind of disheartened because he saw a couple of other people doing it at the time. I think
Oh,
it was like
okay.
Alex Goot and like some of the very like early people that started covering. And he's like, dang it, people are already doing this. It's not going to be worth it. Little did we know, like hundreds and hundreds of people would, if not thousands of people would be doing it years later.
Yeah.
So we kind of just didn't really take it super seriously. I mean, like we wanted to put up good content and everything, but it wasn't like that we saw it as a career. It was more kind of like supplementary to what we were doing, because you couldn't even make ad money back then. That wasn't even an option.
Right.
But then after we got off tour and we were like, you know what, I think this YouTube thing is getting serious. Like social media is just taking over, and that seems to be where everything is going. So let's do it. Let's give ourselves a deadline of making a cover a week and see if we could do it. And we sure did.
Yeah, that's for sure. And it's funny now because there's so many bands out there who are creating original music, but they really started by doing the covers. And when you Google them, it's like, is this band a cover band or are they a real band? And it's not really like that anymore
It's not.
because the covers is just a unique way to get yourself out there, right? It's not like you're a cover band anymore. It's just that that's a way that you're getting your music out there to the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I consider it kind of like a way of advertising, like a little bit of a
Yeah.
less annoying ad, if you will. Like, would you rather see me being like, please come listen to our original music? I know you've never heard it before, but you're gonna like it. Or, maybe we're recording a chop suey cover of a song that you already know, and you're like, oh, that's an interesting spin. Maybe I'll stick around for a little while. It's like a little less invasive to me. It's more kind of like, hey, do you like this? If you do, then we have more if you want, but you don't have to.
Right.
And that's kind of always the way that I thought about it. So I do think it's kind of odd when people are like, you ruined this song. How dare you? And it's like, no, we didn't. The other song still exists. And it's, and honestly, a lot of people get mad. They're like, you're riding on the coattails of these artists. And it's like, these artists are making way more money. Like helping make them money.
Yeah.
We pay license, royalties to them and everything. So they make their fair share. So I would say to you, no, actually, I would say it's the opposite. If anything, we're helping them out.
And so since that time, when you kind of made that realization of the cover being a good way to promote the band, where has the balance been between the cover and the original music?
It's been hard because I think the covers are easier in the sense that the song already exists, so it's able to be created a lot quicker than an original song.
Right.
And the sense that we care very deeply for our original music, not that we don't care about our covers, because we absolutely do, but it's somebody else's song. It's not, we're telling somebody else's story through our eyes. There's not a whole lot of work that's going into that outside of just having some fun with it.
Yeah.
The original music, the way that we ended up making the big line in the sand between the two is having our cover videos be on pretty much the same backdrop, kind of settling into this similar, but maybe some effects here and there, but letting the original music videos be the storylines and the different locations and wherever our budget is to go to the original music videos, because that's what we really truly where our passion lies.
Right. And you have the new EP that you released this year, Vida Nova. Is that
Mm-hmm.
how you say it?
Yep.
You released a couple of songs throughout the year last year. So were they always going to be an EP, or did that come after you released those songs and realizing that, hey, maybe we should bundle these up?
It's a really good question. And actually, no, they were intended to just be singles. I think the first one that we released was actually The Hunter and the Prey, which was way back in, God, I don't even know,
I think it
2018
was,
maybe.
yeah, I had it
It was
written
a
down
long
somewhere, I
time
think,
ago.
but
So
yeah,
we just intended on just releasing some singles because creating an album didn't seem as necessary anymore. Like
right.
coming out with a bunch of new songs that nobody knows is kind of a backwards way of thinking now. So instead we were like, let's just make some singles, see how they go. And then at some point during the last year, we were like, you know what, this could be an EP if we put all of these together. They sound like they go together. They are thematically like very cohesive.
Mm-hmm.
And we just kind of liked the idea of it becoming its own little thing. And then not to mention creating an experience on Spotify. Like you open up the first song on Vita Nova, and then it goes through the catalog of the rest of these songs, which we feel like fit really well together. And then we're also working on an actual deluxe version of that. We're going to be adding 2 more songs to it, and then we're going to be releasing a physical copy. We thought about releasing a CD, but then we got a little creative, and we're actually going to be releasing it's like a cassette tape, like in a little jewel case, but it's a USB. So you can plug it into your computer or your car, and you can get the song that way. And you can even just use it as a USB hub, like if you want, but it's just like, it's kind of more like memorabilia for people anyway, because who has a CD player anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're going to be buying a signed copy of something, we thought maybe making it like a little retro cassette tape case would be cooler. So that's what we're going to be doing, and it's hopefully going to be coming out before summertime at the latest.
And over the past year, what has it been like as a band in, again, the originals versus the covers? Because I imagine it's been really great to have the covers, because it has kept you busy throughout the past year when you can't do anything else. Mm-hmm. But do you also want to have the originals so that when things go back to normal, you can really get out there and spread your original music around and maybe tour a bit and do all of that?
Yeah, we have super high hopes for that. I think before this year, we didn't think we were ever going to tour again, just because Halocene was kind of barely surviving. I mean, it made enough money to stay afloat and just kind of be able to, be a fun little extra hobby on the side. But it wasn't until this last year and the success that we've had that we've been like, wow, I think we could actually tour again, and we could actually make money instead of just barely survive. So we're very excited to do that. And yeah, absolutely. That's in our minds when we're making the original music, saying we want to be out there playing this stuff, because it's been a long time. And so we're really excited. We are definitely working on that, but we're kind of lower on the totem pole as far as the artists that get back into venues. There's a lot of people that are really wanting to get out there right now. So,
yep. Yeah, there's less venues and more bands that want to play them, right?
Yeah, 100%. So it's going to happen, just as a matter of when. We're kind of not sure yet.
And I was talking to Cole Rowland last week, and he said that you guys are the definition of hard work. Oh my God. And that's really what it is, right? Because 2008 you form, and now finally you're at a place where you're like, our originals can lead us to a new territory. How amazing is that to see that for yourself and be like, the last how many years it's going to be worth it?
Dude, ridiculously amazing. Yeah, I think I had given up many a times. Brad is the one that has been like, no, we keep going. We keep going. I don't care. We keep going. And so yeah, it's awesome that it happened this way. I don't think without Brad we would be us, where we're at right now. And it's an incredible place to be, and I'm so excited to see what happens next. That's so cool that Cole said that. He's the sweetest. He's like so nice.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about Brad and your relationship, and I was going to ask if you wouldn't have come together as a couple, if you would have just been bandmates, do you think you would be, as a band, where you are today?
I almost say the opposite. I say the band would exist, would our marriage have existed? Like, it absolutely, we always put the band first. And I think that honestly, it's what keeps us together. Like, it keeps us, we're always seeing each other and hanging out and working together and creating this relationship on such a kind of a wild experience. So no, I would say that the band actually supported our marriage and not the other way around.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'd seen you post on social media, I think it was earlier in 2020, just after you had your son, about the fact that you really wanted to be more present because you felt life was sort of flying by because of how concentrated you were on your music. So over the past year, have you been able to figure that out? Have you been more present?
I wish I could say yes. Still talking about that through in my my life coaching.
Right.
No, it's hard because yeah, I think that since I was a kid, that's what I knew is to just keep going. And so it's been difficult to try to take a step back and be like, we're here. We made it. Like, we don't have to keep pushing as hard. Let's just sit back and enjoy it. And we're starting to. We're finding other people to help us with things that we, just naturally kind of came to learn how to do ourselves. Things like video editing and stuff that like aren't necessarily like that we're super passionate about, but that can be help with us. We got management. So there's definitely things, and we've brought people on to help us out to give us more breathing room. And I think we're on the cusp of it. I feel like I've maybe been saying that for a long time now, but I do really feel like we're finally at a place where we can find, I don't know if peace is the right word, but it does feel kind of like that.
And do you almost have to take a step back sometimes? Because, like you say, the age of 5, what you wanted to be was a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you have to be careful not to just identify as that, because that is what you've wanted for so long? And now that you have a son and a family, do you have to step back and realize that you're not just a rock star, even though that's what you've wanted your entire life?
It's when I was younger, I wanted to be a singer and I wanted to be a mom. Those are my two things that I wanted to be. And it was so desperate that I was like, well, I don't know if I should have kids yet, because like I want to be a singer and like I can't do both. Like I didn't think that both could exist.
Right.
So, but that was at a time when you had to go out on the road all the time and that kind of thing. So now it's different, and you are able to actually be both. And yeah, I would say I kind of am living two lives. Like I'm over here like, rocking out and making dick jokes on the internet, and then I'm cuddling up with my son when he's sick, and listening to Wheels on the Bus 20 times in a row, and also our cover of Chop Suey, because he's obsessed with that cover.
Is he?
Oh my lord, he asks for Chop Suey by going, because of the scream.
Right.
He likes the screaming. Yeah, and he likes playing the drums. I don't know. So they're intersecting, even if I didn't want them to.
Thank you guys once again so much for joining us, and thank you to Addie for stopping by and sharing her story. Be sure to check out their new EP, Vita Nova, and head over to their YouTube page to check out all their awesome covers. Please also be sure you are liking, sharing, following, subscribing to us on whatever streaming service you are listening on, and head over to social media and give us a follow there as well. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Just search The Music Made Me and we should pop up. Thanks once again for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Music Made Me.